March 30 to 31st. I could tell that my dad was mega serious. Sorry. I could tell my dad was mega serious about this whole China caper when he came downstairs early this morning. Dawn is more like it. In a clean white shirt, neatly pressed slacks, and polished shoes. He wasn't fooling me one bit, though. I knew that a few minutes after we got to Beijing, we would be living at this Beijing hotel. He would be back into his faded jeans and a t-shirt. He always says that his body rejects formal clothing the way that a healthy organism rejects invading germs, and he's probably right. Me, I like to dress up once in a while. It makes me feel good, especially when it's a special event. Anyway, that was this morning, and it seems so long ago. I'm writing this on the plane. My notebook is barely lit by the little reading light above me. The ride is a little rough at times, so my handwriting, which isn't prize winning at the best of times, is jiggly. The cabin lights are out and most passengers are sleeping. We left Toronto at about 10 o'clock this morning. I love to fly, especially the takeoffs when you feel that terrific rush as the engines roar and slam you back into your seat. And you feel the plane's acceleration, then the wicked tilt, then the floating sensation as the ground drops away. But my dad is a big suck when it comes to planes. What he does is he gets what he calls blasted. He's got it down to a science. He pops a Gravol to calm his jittery stomach just after he checks his bags. Then half a Valium when they called flight. Then as soon as the plane is up and cruising, he flags down a flight attendant and orders a double whiskey. All this is really strange because he doesn't drink much at all, and he's absolutely death on drugs. He's absolutely death on drugs, legal and illegal. Once he's blasted, he says the panic leaves him. And although he never enjoys a flight, at least he can almost relax. But sorry. But it means I have to handle the tickets and the boarding passes and steer Dad around. Anyway, we made Vancouver in 5 hours and a bit, changed planes after an hour and a half layover, and took off again. We had a boring meal of some kind of chicken and then watched an equally boring movie about a rock star who loses her voice and starts up a cosmetics company. Right now, we're approximately 10 hours out of Vancouver. I slept a bit, but I'm too keyed up and cramped and uncomfortable to sleep soundly. I'm 6 feet right on, so I have to sort of fold myself into the seats that they give you in the economy section. Dad is taller than me. He's beside me in the window seat, sleeping all twisted up like a pretzel. His head is thrown back and his mouth is open and he's snoring away, as if he was in the right mind. As if he was in his right mind. He looks pretty silly, actually. I know that a normal 17-year-old would be a little embarrassed to be sitting beside him. I'm just being honest. You know, we're all mega terrified that our parents will embarrass us by saying something dumb at the wrong time or answering the door in really goofy clothes or something. I used to be like that years ago, but not anymore. I can't sleep, so I'm writing, just letting my thoughts come into my head. I take a lot of flack from kids because I am interested in military history and weapons and restaging battles and stuff like that. I think I'm the only kid in my school who even knows what a blitzkrieg is. The other kids couldn't care less about war, and most history teachers like to babble on about governments and constitutions and the cause and effects of wars, as if the wars themselves were chapters in history that you could skip over without changing the story. I'm not saying I'm crazy about people getting killed and cities getting bombed, but it happens, so why ignore it? Pacifists are just simpletons, as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing I like better than a war movie with lots of battle scenes, noise and smoke, explosions that shake the ground, and the wicked chatter of machine gun fire. Or tank battle, the tanks moving like chess pieces, like in the movie Patton. That's the thing. It isn't the killing and the ghoulish stuff that interests me. It's the battle plans and the strategy and the weapons. It's like chess or curling or bridge. Those are all games I really like. Someone, probably Mr. Bunkowski, once asked me when I started getting hot on military history, and until then I didn't realize that it had started around the whole time my mom left home and went to live on her own. My whole world fell apart. I was only 12 and I had a hard time understanding what was going on and why. At first, I thought it was my fault, but mom and dad, especially dad, worked hard on convincing me that it wasn't. Then I figured it wasn't my fault. She left. Dad must be to blame. Maybe she got sick of him, the way he was a fanatic about his work, or the sloppy way he dressed. Mom always looked like she had just stepped off the front page of a magazine. I didn't know, but I was sure for a couple of months at least that I lost my mom because there was something wrong with my dad. Then one night I woke up from a bad dream. I'd been having them, a lot of them around then. I padded down the upstairs hall on the way to the kitchen to get some milk. When I came up opposite Dad's bedroom, I heard something strange. The door was open a crack and I looked in. Dad was sitting on the bed in a pool of soft light and the small lamp on the dresser, holding a framed photo in both hands, staring into it. I knew the picture. It was one of Mom and Dad and me at a cottage in Halliburton. When I was about 7, it usually hung on the wall beside my mom's dresser. Only her dresser wasn't there anymore. The strange sound that I heard was Dad crying. His shoulders and head shook from the deep sobs that came from down inside him. I watched him carefully after that, because the night was when I realized how badly hurt he was, as badly as me. And I knew that no matter whose fault it was, we had to face it together. We had both lost her. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought I knew that she left us because she wanted to. And that, no matter what her reasons were, I would never forgive her. Anyway, I'm only saying that I think that's when I started getting interested in all this military stuff. What I liked most about the reading battle plans was the feeling that there were rules and strategies and traditions, and everything was clear. And when I got into the building of model soldiers and reconstructing battles, I liked the feeling of control. I draw plans and try to picture the troop movements, attacks, feints, retreats, traps, all that. And I'd lose myself for hours in a world that made sense. I kept going farther and farther back into history. That's what got me into the Chinese stuff. And now, here I am, rocketing towards China, miles up in the thin air.